Hey guys, it's Mountain Walk, and today we're going to be talking about the top 10 things I want in Modern Horizons 2. So let's fucking do it. Also, no, I'm not going to be putting Stifle on this list. Stifle can be a pretty miserable card to play against. Um, Maybe it's okay, but I mean, if we can get Stifle in here, then I want Sinkhole too. I want Sinkhole and Stifle and Wasteland. I just want to destroy all your lands. Anyways. All right, so we got Modern Horizons 2 confirmed coming up in fall of next year. This should be interesting. We got the enemy fetch lands. These are basically confirmed, so that should be interesting. I like enemy fetch lands because just in general, reprinting fetches sort of depresses the price of all of them because they're somewhat interchangeable. Unless you're fetching, if you need to fetch a certain basics, obviously, then it's not so much interchangeable. Um, but yeah, this is great. This is great news. So we are going to see some reprints, at least the enemy fetch lands, maybe reprints of other cards that need to be reprinted for modern. Maybe we'll get another Mistress Bauble reprint. That thing seems to not want to stay down, so to speak. Um, so that's good. That's good. Of course, we're going to get some new cards, and everyone loves new cards. I love new cards. You love new cards. So that's good news. Um, and well, also, hopefully we don't get any new cards that are like do too much stuff. Uh, yeah, so let's not do that. No more cards that just do too much stuff. No more absurd free cards. Free spells are obviously an issue, most of the time. So at least any proactive ones, any threats, stuff like that. Reactive spells are usually okay. Usually, like 99% of the time. Um, and we're going to be looking at modern specifically, of course, rather than like Legacy, Vintage, or EDH, because while this set's supposed to be for modern, thinking about what cards we want in here would be like reprints of old stuff, or maybe potentially new cards, because obviously, like all of these old cards are already legal in Legacy, Vintage, and EDH. So yeah. So a top 10 list of me just speculating on stuff I'd like is just probably just a bit too masturbatory, even for me. Um, no Tog on this list, unfortunately, because I think Tog would require a lot more help to make it good. You need stuff like Force Spike, Cunning Wish, Upheaval. I mean, there's a lot of different things that I think would need to be required to make it good. So, yeah. All right. We're going to be looking at answers specifically. We want high-powered answers, not high-powered do-everything threats. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna be a little bit contrary today. Sorry, Mark Rosewater. We actually do care about high-powered answers, because these are not the cards that ruin formats. As much as people think they do. I mean, it's obviously just like it's totally fallacious thinking, totally shit reasoning, right? Like these are, I mean, like most of these people, I just don't understand. Like their reasoning is not very good. It's just like completely arbitrary and random. Like they don't really think things through. But again, it's not like Magic players are alone in that. This is something that most people do. Um, you know, why would you ever teach anyone the classics? Why do you care about the classics? Why do you care about philosophy and logic? Why do you care about any of that stuff? Just like think what like makes you happy and stuff, dude. Um, Anyways, so yeah, no more Oko and Uro, please. Those aren't particularly fun cards or interesting, that's for sure. Okay, but we do actually have received some pretty good answers recently. Zendikar Rising gave us Skyclave Apparition against a ton of different things. Really, really reinvigorated white decks. Cleansing Wildfire, great against a lot of different decks. There's certain decks that let you that really take advantage of it. So you can Cleansing Wildfire your own flagstones to ramp and draw cards, which is pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet. And even the rediscovery of old tech, like Condemn, against a lot of the Death Shadow decks, especially with the Scourge of the Skyclaves. So that's cool. So we really want to focus on these kind of cards. These are the things that really make things better, really keep the powerful threats hemmed in. So I'm a big fan of that. So let's focus on that. Let's focus on helping out some decks that aren't that great. So let's get started. All right, number 10, we got Quirion Ranger and or Wirewood Symbiote. These things do lots and lots of good work in the Elf deck and Legacy. Quirion Ranger itself has seen other play in other places like Pauper, also in older formats where it was good with Survival of the Fittest and dual lands and stuff like that. Did a lot of cool stuff like untapping Tradewind Rider, things like that. These cards would really be pretty helpful, either one or both of them as a reprint in the Modern Horizons 2, because they do good stuff. They do good stuff. Quirion Ranger gives you an additional blocker. Wirewood Symbiote lets you fog stuff, lets you bounce Elvish Visionary for more card advantage and stuff like that. This is great. Of course, they also, if you're playing as to Crater Hoof someone, these will let you untap a guy that you tapped for, like the Heritage Druid Metal Sentinel combo to produce mana, so you can untap another guy to swing with Crater Hoof and stuff. So that's great. That's really good. That's really what we want. All right, now we got Fire Ice. This card is great. If we're talking about how can we put removal spells in our deck that are never dead, Fire Ice is basically that. I mean, at worst, it's a cantripping, twiddle or whatever. But obviously you can burn someone out for the last 2 points. You can kill 2 of their dudes. You can kill a dude, deal 1 to them. It's super flexible. Does so much good work. It's one of my favorite cards ever. One of the most powerful, versatile removal spells. I think it's great. I love it. I love it so much. It just does everything you'd ever want it to. So, yeah, can't lose. You can't lose. Okay, and now Affinity, Metalcraft Modular. The Affinity decks need a lot of help. They're basically dead since the banning of Mox Opal, so they probably need unbanned like artifact lands and some new Affinity guy. Obviously, maybe some sort of Metalcraft or Modular thing would be good too. But the format has moved to a point where it's not just like, okay, like Arcbound Ravager and 56 other cards will be sufficient. It's like you can't get away with playing these jank shit cards, right? Like you need like another Arcbound Ravager level of creature to get away with this stuff. That or they have to unban Skullclamp or something. Like it's just not going to work with just like this random stuff. It's just not fast enough, not disruptive enough. So we need something. We probably need another really big like auto include like Ravager, and then probably another role player in addition to like the unbanning of the artifact lands or Mox Opal 2 or something. But the deck needs a lot of help because it's basically dead, like super dead. Not a lot of reason to play it. I mean, and especially since it's so easy to hate out, like the deck needs to have like a higher power level just in general, because it has to deal with all that hate in games 2 and 3. So yeah, not a good place to be. Not a good place to be. So let's give our little favorite artifact beast a little bit of help, right? Okay, now we got Cursed Totem. Cursed Totem is sweet because it shits on everything, like the new green-white Aerodex with Walking Ballista and all that stuff. Cursed Totem stops that. The Oops All Spells deck, Cursed Totem stops that. Just random cute stuff from Death and Taxes, Cursed Totem stops that. Cursed Totem puts a stop to any of this bullshit. It says no more. Let's just get out of here. Stop it with this. Just stop. So that's really cool. I'm a big fan of Cursed Totem. It is not reserved list, unlike Nullrod, which is reserved list. I don't know. Like I said, totally random. I'm not really sure what what the deal is. But yeah, so this is a sweet card. This would be a good reprint. And it's never been reprinted. Well, it was in 6th edition, I believe, but it hasn't, obviously hasn't seen a modern print. So be good to get one of those. Maybe we get a foil one. That'd be pretty sweet, right? All right, and now we have Gerard's Verdict. Basically, fixed him to Turok. I mean, really, this is the only one that really even comes close in the same kind of like card advantage-y, 2 mana discardy thing. Um, Verdict is very good, very, very good. It's one of my favorite cards to cast. It's obviously a lot worse than him because it's not random and it's 2 colors, and thus it's much more difficult to ritual out, but you don't even have ritual in Modern, of course. This card is ultimately very strong, but I think it's fair. I think it's fine for the power level of Modern. It's a very sweet card. Look at the sweet art. Um, yeah, I mean, this definitely would help like the Smallpox style decks, or the Rack style decks, or like the Black White Stoneforge, uh, Picula Dead Guy sort of style decks. Those are always really fun, and so Verdict would be a good way to make those decks better. I mean, again, these aren't the sort of decks that really are problematic, like mid-range sort of style-y aggro control on the slower end of the spectrum. These are not typically decks that really break formats, especially in older Eternal formats. I mean, these are the decks that get squeezed out first, right? Because these sort of jack of all trades decks just aren't very exciting. And stuff like this card itself is very volatile. Sometimes it's really great in the beginning of the game, but at the end of the game, you're talking, I'm getting all these Inquisitions and Thought Seizes while my opponent's playing like Uro or Death Shadows or something. Like, not that good, right? Like that's going to be pretty bad for us. So ultimately, I think this is a fair card and a good card, and one that would be awesome. I just love playing this card. I love playing powerful discard spells, and Gerard's Verdict is one of those. All right. And basically everything said about Verdict more or less applies to Vindicate, except Vindicate is never dead, always hit something, kill your Tron lands, kill your Primeval Titan, kill your Goblin Electromancer. I mean, just never dead, always has something to hit. If this card is quote unquote dead, that means your opponent has no permanence in play, right? Like, I mean, like this card is great. It's super flexible. I mean, it's a nice way. These really powerful answers like Vindicate is a nice way to future-proof your format against just stupid powerful permanents. Like they screw up and print another overpowered planeswalker or creature or something or enchantment. Yeah, like how would they do that? Who would? I mean, gosh, it's not like they've been doing that the last fucking 2 years. Um, but Vindicate would be sweet. I think it'd be really good. It would do exactly what we want to, which is just be a nice safety valve, right? That's what these powerful answers are for. All right, Pernicious Deed. This one I like more than Vindicate just because I had so much more fun playing Deed, just wiping people's boards out and stuff. Obviously, this card is. I always had a lot of fun casting this against Affinity, even though I would still die half the time because they had fucking Somber Hover Guards and Mirror Enforcers and stuff. But this card is pretty good against all sorts of things. Very flexible. It's definitely boosts up the sort of rock style decks, which I have seen them see a little play in the last couple years. This thing is very powerful. I love it. It leaves your planeswalkers around still, but also leaves their planeswalkers around. So I don't know if they want they want to make a new Pernicious Deed that hits planeswalkers. I have no idea. But this thing is great. This thing is great. I like playing it. It's got great art. Everything about it is wonderful. Again, a nice, interesting sweeper. I mean, what else are you supposed to say about it? Like, there's probably not a home for it off the top of my head, but it is obviously a fairly powerful card classically, and would just be a good one to have in the format, just in case, artifact decks get out of hand. So yeah, I want to play Zoo, but it sucks. So anything that will let me play Zoo, literally fucking anything. Just, I don't know, Wild Mikado on crack. I don't even care if you call it Wild Mikado on crack. Like that's just literally anything. I want to play Zoo. I want to play like green creatures and burn spells and lightning helix and path to exile and stuff. Like, come on, let me do that. This is stupid. It's really depressing. I mean, a lot of the Zoo decks depended upon them having just like ridiculously overstated creatures like Wild Mikado, Tarmogoyf, and Woolly Thoktar even back in the day. But that's not the case anymore. That's not good enough. And these sort of just like super powerful vanilla creatures just tend to get outmoded because of just older formats tend to be more about synergy, more about combos, less about like doing fair stuff, and typically all Zoo does is fair stuff. So I don't know, this is a pretty hard one to solve, but let me play Zoo, please. I wanna play Kurt Ape. I wanna return to Monkey. Now hurry the fuck up. Okay, now we got a good one. I don't know which one of these would be better, but this is basically an answer to the sort of new Omnath Aerodex, random four-color jank shit things. This would be so good in like the Death and Taxes style decks because you just slam one of these bastards down when you have like a bunch of, you know, a decent 2 or 3 creatures on board, and just like, and then like this is great, you know, this is awesome. And of course, it's obviously good against stuff like any of the other big mana decks, mid-range sort of style decks. Get ahead on board, slam one of these down, and then just beat them with your Batter Skull or your Maul of the Skyclaves or something, equipped to your Flicker Wisp, with your Giver of Runes protecting it. That would be sweet. I love these cards. I love land destruction. I love mass land destruction even more. I don't know what would be better. No, Cataclysm isn't on the reserve list. They actually reprinted it in the From the Vault Annihilation, so that's interesting. But either of these cards would be awesome. And that's right. I mean, of course, it's Counterspell every time. Again, Counterspell is just the best card just against like anything, right? I mean, it's not like the because combo decks are so fast. Like, I mean, Force Negation, Spell Pierce, things like that tend to be a little bit better, um, especially with like against the Glass Cannon sort of Belcher style decks. But Counterspell is just always so good. It just is like just a backup. It's a cornerstone of any control deck, any hard control deck, or even just sort of like tap out control deck or whatever. Just it just does everything. It just does everything. It's very rarely, well, it's not. It's usually pretty good. It's very rarely dead or bad, um, and it's very rarely ever going to warp a format. I can't think of a format where it's like, oh man. I mean, again, with possible exception of the Tog decks and Invasion Odyssey Type 2, but that was more like of a critical mass. Like, who thought that like having Force Spike, Memory Lapse, Factor Fiction, Upheaval, Tog itself, Cunning Wish, Deep Analysis, I mean, insane amounts of draw, insane amounts of a counter magic. I mean, really good counter magic too. And then also like answers like Chainer's Edict and stuff like that. Again, like I said, Upheaval. I mean, of course, like, but that's not. If it was only Counterspell in the deck and you didn't have like, you only have like cancel and stuff like that, it'd be much worse. So Counterspell is again not a problematic card for the most part. Again, maybe in like standard, but that's a little bit different, like with the way that they design stuff now. But certainly in modern, not an issue, not an issue. Again, this isn't going to solve everything because like the Oro and the and Omnath decks, I mean, they'll just fucking play Counterspell, right? They'll just play it. Like, it's not going to be an answer to it. Like, if it's just the best, you know, sort of interactive spell, they'll just play it, right? I mean, Mana Leak's pretty good too, but you can definitely get to the point where Mana Leak is just not that good, isn't countering stuff, especially like 1 mana spells. Like, it's definitely not that great. Um, but Counterspell is great, very rarely problematic. Can be good against some of the more degenerate stuff. Not a great answer against stuff like Oro or Omnath, because those decks will just end up playing Counterspell probably. I think the mana is so easy. Like fucking Triomes, like who thought those were, like the Triomes plus fetch lands is just whatever. I guess that's the least egregious design decision recently, but anyways, so these are the cards I've been thinking about. Thinking about would be sweet. There's all sorts of other cards that could be cool. Stuff like Innocent Blood, which would be great in like the Smallpox style decks, things like that. All sorts of fun cards, but these are the ones I think that would be better for the format, help out some underperforming decks. More Answers, of course, is just generally just good, right? Unless we're talking about like Some stuff can be problematic, like Daze, Force, Misstep, Mana Drain. These can be issues, but these cards are the exception, not the rule, of course. So anyways, that's it, guys. That's it for today. So thanks for stopping by, and have a great day.